You don't need a lightning bolt to change your life. You need a switch you can flip in the dark. That's the first lesson most people miss. They wait for the drumroll of motivation, the movie scene swelling of music, some burst of fireworks that will finally make them feel ready. But the morning you wake up inspired is almost always the morning you had already prepared something the night before. Motivation, as it turns out, is not a starter's pistol. It's the echo that follows action. If you want a life that moves, build the kind of day that moves first, and let the feelings arrive like weather after a front has passed. Picture today as it is. The alarm sounds, your phone glows, a few emails paw at your attention. Nothing is wrong, but nothing is steering you either. This is where the old you surrenders to how you feel. The new you does something plainer and more powerful. You choose one keystone action, just one, that can be counted and completed. Not workout, but 20 minutes of movement before 8 o'clock. Not be productive, but write 300 words before coffee. Not grow my business, but make 5 outreach calls before lunch. The power here is smallness and arithmetic. You either did it or you didn't. Numbers don't negotiate. Then you attach that keystone to a trigger that already happens in your day. The first boiling of the kettle, the soft click of the office door, the moment you set your bag down. The trigger is important because it's faithful even when your feelings are not. You're not summoning courage from a dry well every morning. You're following a cue like a conductor's baton. When this, then that. After you hear the kettle, you open the laptop to the draft named by today's date. After you sit at your desk, you dial the first contact on a printed list. After you lace your shoes, you step outside and start the first 5 minutes at a gentle pace. Let the trigger be a lever that lifts your weight for you. Now, here is where most resolutions collapse. The gap between the cue and the first move grows thick with indecision and setup. So you make the gap trivial. Put the barbell where you nearly trip over it. Leave the document open to the exact paragraph that needs the next sentence. Print the numbers you'll call and lay the list on the keyboard. Tonight, before you sleep, reduce the number of steps from decide to do it to doing it to no more than 3. You can even count them out loud tomorrow. 1. Open the file. 2. Type the first sentence. 3. Keep the hands moving. If you catch yourself tinkering with fonts, playlists, or headlines before you've begun, you've wandered off the path. Come back and repeat your 3 steps. This is discipline's true shape. Not heroic, but frictionless. You may worry that this sounds mechanical. Good, reliable things often are. But there is something warm and human resting inside the machinery. You are giving your future self a hand to hold. The person who wakes up tomorrow is not a stranger. They are you with less sleep and more doubt. The kindness you can extend tonight is to prearrange their success. Lay out the shoes. Place the book with a bookmark stuck at the first line you must read. Put a pen next to a sticky note where the only words are "Start now." If you've ever set out clothes for a child so they wouldn't stumble over choices in the morning, you already understand the spirit of this. You are removing puzzles from the hour that needs 0 puzzles. There is a second kindness. Measure the moment you begin. Don't worry about elaborate tracking. on a paper calendar, in a spiral notebook, or as a one-line entry in your notes app. Jot the time you started and the count of what you did. Write 7:12, 316 words, or 12:40, 5 calls placed, or 19:10, 23 minutes. When you see that line later, it will be a small flag planted on the hill you climbed. Better yet, it will be a chain of flags that dares you not to break it tomorrow. We are streak-loving creatures. Use that nature, don't lecture it. The wall is a better coach than your inner critic. There is a third kindness you can grant yourself. Shrink the commitment on hard days, but never to zero. If the afternoon ambushes you, if the meeting spills over, if the child spikes a fever, you still do the smallest version before bed. 50 words instead of 300. 1 call instead of 5. A brisk walk around the block instead of 20 sweaty minutes. The principle is simple. Keep the promise even if you keep it in miniature. Each tiny completion is a vote cast for a sturdy identity. You are proving in small print a large truth. You are a person who does what they say they will do. You might be wondering where motivation fits into this. It will arrive, but as a side effect of motion. The first 2 minutes of beginning are like starter fluid. They don't seem like much, yet they light the engine. The surprise is how quickly feelings follow the body's lead. You start typing a sentence you don't like, and 2 sentences later, your mind wakes and joins the work. You dial the first number to get it over with, and by the 3rd conversation, your energy has caught up to your courage. You step into the crisp air for a grudging walk and end up adding an extra block because your lungs remind you that you're alive. Motivation chases progress the way a dog chases a running child. Let it chase you. Don't stand still waiting for it to tug your sleeve. To help this stick, establish one simple accountability signal. Choose a friend, a colleague, or even a family member who doesn't need to do anything except receive a message. Each day, when you've done the keystone action, send a single word, done. No speeches, no explanations, no emojis if you're tempted to hide behind them. The act of reporting, even without feedback, will nudge you. Humans keep promises better when they can be seen. If no one comes to mind, become your own witness. Write done on a sticky note and place it somewhere you'll encounter it later, like the bathroom mirror. The point isn't judgment, it's visibility. Here is a small but powerful metric you can use starting tomorrow. The start delay. Time the seconds between your trigger and your first meaningful action. If you pour the coffee at 7 o'clock and you begin typing at 7:04, your start delay is 4 minutes. Aim to keep it under 1 minute most days. When it stretches, don't scold yourself, diagnose. Did you need to hunt for a file? Was the phone within reach? Was the decision too fuzzy? Fix the obstacle tonight so tomorrow is lighter by exactly 1 stone. The best performers aren't more motivated. They are less hindered. And finally, remind yourself that discipline isn't punishment. It's a form of respect. You respect your future by paying your present in advance. You respect your craft by showing up regardless of applause. You respect your health by treating movement like brushing your teeth. Unremarkable but non-negotiable. There will be days when you finish your keystone action and you feel nothing dramatic. Just a clean, quiet space where guilt used to sit. That peace is not cheap. It's earned. Tastes like competence. Tonight, before you close your eyes, write a single sentence you can wake up to. After I hear my alarm, I will sit up, put both feet on the floor, and begin my keystone action within 60 seconds. That sentence is a door handle you can grip in the dark. Set out what you need, strip away what you don't, and let your environment become a silent coach. You are not hoping for a better day. You are assembling it. The orchestra will play when the conductor raises the baton, and you are both today. Here's the strange, liberating truth. The best days start before you wake up. The person you were last night is the architect of the person you will be this morning. And if you treat evening like a workshop instead of a wasteland for scrolling, you will wake to a plan that is easier to obey than to ignore. You already learned how to choose a single keystone action and attach it to a faithful trigger. Now you'll make that promise sturdier by building a ritual so plain and physical that your body can follow it even when your spirit would rather bargain. Think of discipline not as a stern teacher but as a set of rails under your feet. Rails do not debate. They carry. Start with the table you pass first after you rise. Clear everything from it except 3 items. The tool for your keystone action, a timer, and a paper record. If your keystone is writing, the open document or notebook sits there with the page dated and a first sentence stubbed in. 5 awkward words you can fix later. If it's outreach, the calling list is printed with exactly 5 names circled and the numbers legible in thick pen. If it's movement, the shoes, socks, and headphones are aligned like a runway, and the first 5-minute block is scribbled on a card that says, easy pace. Don't think. Put the timer on top of the card. That timer, whether it lives in your phone's clock app or in a small kitchen device, does more than count minutes. It signals a start. When you press it, you are past the moment of negotiation. Your only assignment is to move until it sings. Make the ritual audible and visible. Say, out loud, the exact sequence you'll do tomorrow. Alarm, feet down, water glass, timer, begin. The words matter because the brain likes scripts under pressure. Place the water glass full on your cleared table so you have to pick it up to set the timer in its place. These tiny bits of choreography reduce the chance that your morning becomes a choose-your-own adventure. Choice is wonderful for art, terrible for beginnings. You need a way to make progress feel touchable. Try the paperclip method. Put 2 small cups next to your paper record, one with 10 paper clips or pebbles or beans. Each time you complete a unit, 1 call, 100 words, 1 5-minute block, move a piece from the full cup to the empty cup. Your brain will protest that this is too simple to matter. That's exactly why it works. Each clink is a proof of life and a little reward that doesn't depend on willpower. If you want more charge, make the 10th piece a different color. That last move will feel like snapping a medal onto your own collar. Build a simple if-then map for the 2 predictable problems, interruptions and dips. Interruptions are external. The door, the ping, the got a second? Dips are internal, the thought storm, the low mood, the urge to check. For interruptions, write a single sentence on your paper record. If interrupted, I will pause the timer. Mark a small slash on the page. Handle the minimum. Then press start and resume at the next unit. The slash is not a shame mark. It's an engineering note you'll use later. For dips, give yourself a 2-tier response. If I feel stuck, I will reduce the unit to half and complete one. If still stuck, I will stand up, breathe slowly for 30 seconds, return, and complete one more half unit. When you script your reactions in advance, the moment of weakness gets handled by the strength of preparation. There's a quiet enemy you may not have named yet, the buzzing rectangle within reach. If your keystone lives on a device, you must protect it from all the other reasons that device exists. You don't need a lecture, you need a rule. Before your keystone session, switch your phone to airplane mode and set a separate alarm that will ring after the session ends. Better still, put the phone across the room and use a €5 kitchen timer to count instead. If your work requires the internet, create a white list by writing down the 2 sites you actually need and commit to visiting no others until the timer sings. Your future self will thank you for the quiet. Your present self will be startled to discover how ordinary the urge to check was once you stop honoring it. Let's talk about fuel, because discipline is not a machine that runs on fumes. Sleep is the unsung ally in this story. A tired brain doesn't lack motivation. It lacks access to the brakes that keep you from impulse. Decide your bedtime like you decide your meeting times, and defend it with the same seriousness. Put a book, not a bright screen, where your phone used to sleep. Write down 1 worry and 1 gratitude before you turn the light off. The worry gets out of your head. The gratitude pulls your attention toward what is stable and good. You're not chasing perfection. You're clearing the runway for predictable takeoffs. Now we straighten the balance between motivation and discipline by assigning them their rightful jobs. Discipline will always be your opener. It gets you to the mat, the desk, the track, the phone. Motivation is your amplifier. It can make a good session great, a short run joyous, a tough call lively. You don't reject motivation. You simply refuse to depend on it to begin. To invite it, bundle a small pleasure with your keystone action. Let the coffee you love be brewed only during writing. Save a favorite playlist for your movement block. Light a specific candle during your evening study. These pleasures are not bribes. They are mood lighting. You are telling your senses, when we are here, we do this, and it feels good to be the kind of person who shows up. If the pleasure tempts you to linger before beginning, make it contingent. Press the timer, then press play. Timer first, delight second. That order keeps the cart behind the horse. Because you're serious about reliability, create a bad day floor you will not fall below. Choose the minimum version of your keystone that you can do on a day when life leans hard against you. Then make a pact with yourself that the floor is the law. That might be 50 words, 1 call, or a 5-minute walk. On those days, complete the floor early. Tell your accountability person, floor done, and let yourself step away without guilt. The win is continuity. You would be amazed how many people sabotage their month because they could not bear to do a small day instead of the big day they planned. Pride is expensive. Humility pays. On the opposite end, set a ceiling so enthusiasm doesn't burn your circuits. If you feel terrific, you may want to keep going for hours. Enjoy the tailwind, but cap the session at a sensible maximum. perhaps 1 hour for writing or 30 minutes for calls, so you don't wake tomorrow exhausted and resistant. You are trading spikes for a climb. This is the craft of grown-up progress. The day after a good day is still a working day. You will collect data as you go, and it will tell you where to adjust. Those slashes for interruptions, those start delays you timed, those paper clips moving from cup to cup, these are not trophies. They are signals. If you see 3 slashes every day at the same time, bolt that hour's door by moving your session 30 minutes earlier. If your start delay stretches again, audit the first 3 steps and scrape off 1 more layer of friction. If the paper clips stall after the 4th unit, build a micro reward into the 5th. Stand, stretch, sip water, look at the sky for 10 seconds, then return. You are not scolding yourself into excellence. You are iterating your way to it. Some days the wind will be at your back. Most days it will be still. A few days it will be in your face. On still or contrary days, borrow some gravity from outside yourself. Keep your accountability message single word simple, but make the check-in time inflexible. If their schedule doesn't line up, automate gravity by pre-scheduling a message to yourself that asks, "Did you begin on time?" and answer it honestly in your tracker. You're not chasing gold stars. You are training truthfulness. Private honesty, repeated, becomes public reliability, and reliability opens doors that motivation could only admire through the glass. What you are building here is a small ecosystem around a single promise. There is nothing flashy about it, which is why it is so powerful. You orient your morning with a cleared table and a pre-written start. You use a timer like a starter's bell. You make progress visible with objects you can move, and you script your rescue from the 2 ambushes that used to defeat you. In doing this, you are quietly stepping into a new identity, not by declaration but by repetition. People change not when they believe new things about themselves, but when they demonstrate new things to themselves and then believe what they have seen. If you feel a swell of pride reading this, let it rise and pass. Tomorrow you will not need swelling. You will need action. Before you sleep tonight, set out the table, place the timer, write the stubbing first words, fill the water glass, and lay the paper clips in their cup. Whisper your script once more. When the alarm sounds, do not consult your feelings. Consult the rails you built. Let discipline open the door, and let any motivation that shows up join you inside, happy to be put to work. And when you start walking through that door, you'll notice something that used to be invisible. There is always a moment, a small bend in the path, where you either step forward or step sideways. Once you learn to spot that bend, you can decide in advance which way you'll lean. The point is not to be flawless. The point is to be prepared. You've built rails for your mornings and guardrails for your bad days. Now you're going to add 2 more anchors that make consistency feel inevitable. Meaning and review. Meaning tells you why the rails exist. Review tells you how to strengthen them week by week, so you don't need a new speech every Sunday night to keep going. Begin with meaning because discipline without a reason becomes brittle. Take a scrap of paper and write a single sentence that ties your keystone action to a person or principle you genuinely care about. I write 300 words so my future clients won't have to guess what I mean. I make 5 calls so my family's margin grows and I can be generous without fear. I move 20 minutes so I can play on the floor with my child when I'm 60. This is not marketing copy. It is an anchor you can grip with your hands when the wind picks up. Tuck the sentence under your timer or tape it to the back of your notebook. Read it once before you press start. You are reminding yourself that your effort travels beyond the room you're in. Just beneath the meaning sits a ladder called why. Ask yourself why the sentence matters, then ask why that answer matters, then ask a final why. 3 whys is enough to pierce the surface and hit bedrock. Perhaps you discover that writing makes you clearer, clarity makes you trustworthy, and trust is the currency of the work you want to do for decades. Perhaps you see that movement keeps your mood steady, steadiness makes you kinder at home, and kindness is the household climate you want your loved ones to breathe. These aren't slogans. They are the quiet fuel that keeps the engine running when the hills grow long. Now to review, the craft that turns scattered effort into a habit with a backbone. Choose one day and one time for a weekly check-in, and keep it short enough to survive a crowded life. 15 minutes on Sunday evening will do. Take your simple tracker, the start delay notes, the paperclip counts, the slashes for interruptions, and answer 4 questions with a pen. What did I promise? What did I do? What got in the way? What will I change this week? Keep your answers embarrassingly specific. Start delay lagged because I couldn't find the document. Solution. Leave the file open and the laptop plugged in. 3 interruptions at 8:20. Solution. Move session to 7:40 and put a do not disturb note on the door. Phone crept in. Solution. Timer across the room. Phone in the kitchen. You're not writing a memoir. You're writing instructions to yourself. Like tape notes on a toolbox. Add 2 numbers that help you see progress even when the scale of your goal is too distant to cheer you. Your completion rate and your median start delay. Completion rate is the percentage of days you did the keystone action in any size. The median start delay is the middle value of the time between your trigger and your first move. Aim to keep the completion rate above 80% and the median start under 60 seconds. These 2 numbers tell you more about your trajectory than any feeling you might have about how on fire you are. When they drift, fix the system, not your self-esteem. Because you live in the real world, plan for the weeks that punch harder. Create a slump kit now so you don't have to invent it when you're tired. The kit is simple. A single index card with 3 pre-written moves. Move 1 is the 5-breath reset. Inhale for 4, hold for 1, exhale for 6, repeat 5 times. Move 2 is the 10-minute mercy start. Set the timer for 10 and do only the smallest viable version of your keystone. Then decide whether to continue. Move 3 is the friction sweep. Stand, clear the desk in 60 seconds, fill the water glass and return. Tape the card inside your notebook cover. When the day tilts, don't negotiate, execute the card 1, 2, 3. You'll notice, too, that some hours have a heavier drag than others. If late afternoon keeps swallowing your resolve, stop arguing with that tide. Put your keystone where your day still has grip. Early doesn't mean holy, but it often means uncontested. If your life cannot spare the morning, claim a lunch slot and defend it like you defend appointments that matter. The trick is to stop scheduling your most important promise during your least reliable hour. That is not toughness. That is poor civil engineering. There's a steady danger in all of this. Expanding too soon. The moment you gain traction, you'll be tempted to layer on a second keystone, then a third. Resist. Let the first promise become boring in the best way. So automatic that you can carry on even when travel, illness, or guests disturb the furniture of your life. A good test is the hotel test. Pack a small routine kit, a pen, the index card, a pocket timer or watch, and a single-page printed sheet that contains your checklist and your meaning sentence. If you can land in a different bed and still complete the keystone within 24 hours, you're ready to add a second habit. If you can't, you're not failing, you're honest. Keep building the muscle of sameness. Speaking of travel, give yourself a portable version of your work. If you write, keep a small flight draft file that requires no research and lives offline. If you make calls, keep a list of 5 warm maintenance connections you can check on with short messages when calling isn't feasible. If you move, memorize a bodyweight routine that fits in a hotel room. Squats, push-ups against the counter, slow lunges. The aim is continuity, not spectacle. Continuity trains your brain to expect follow-through wherever you go. You'll also meet the old saboteur, perfectionism in a polite suit. It will whisper that the words must be clean before you can count them, that the calls must be eloquent before they matter, that the sweat must be intense or it doesn't count. Decide now that your metrics honor beginnings and completions, not polish and applause. You can add quality controls later, during separate editing or training sessions. For now, protect the action from the editor. The editor is a skilled friend, but they don't belong in the doorway. Let's bring motivation back into the room, because when you stop worshiping it, it stops sulking. You can invite it with tiny celebrations that seal the habit loop in your nervous system. After you hit your unit, 100 words, 1 call, 1 5-minute block. Give yourself a physical cue, a small nod, a whispered good, a slow exhale. It's quiet, but your brain notices. If you want an external treat, keep it simple and non-sticky. A sip of better coffee, a walk to the window, a glance at a photo that reminds you whom you serve. These little markers aren't childish. They're cues to your body that this behavior leads to satisfaction. You're not building a carnival. You're building a porch light that turns on reliably when you come home. There will be misses. When they happen, practice the 2-sentence post-mortem. Sentence 1. The miss happened because Sentence 2. To reduce the chance tomorrow, I will Then move on. No third sentence. The third sentence tries to rehearse your unworthiness or predict your doom, and it has never produced a better tomorrow. You are allowed to be disappointed. You are not required to be dramatic. Finally, broaden the circle of why by letting your consistency touch someone else's day. Once a week, send a minutes of proof note to a mentor, a peer, or a friend who cares about your growth. This week, 7-7, median start 45 seconds, total units 32. One fix for next week. Laptop open to the first line at night. Don't explain, report. People who trade this kind of truth grow faster and stay humble. If you don't have such a person yet, begin the habit alone by writing the note to your future self in your tracker. You will be startled at how much respect you gain for the you who kept promises in plain view. You're learning that motivation and discipline are not enemies. They are dance partners, but one leads. Discipline cues the first step and keeps the rhythm steady. Motivation spins in when the music catches and adds light. If you let motivation lead, you'll wait by the wall for a song that might not come. If you let discipline lead, you'll find yourself moving even when the speakers are quiet. And sure enough, the music rises to meet you. Keep your rails. Keep your reasons. Keep your review. The bend in the path will still appear every day, but your foot will know where to land. You've learned to build rails, to keep your promises small and measurable, to review with a clear eye and gentleness. Now you're ready for a leap that doesn't feel like a leap at all. Scaling your reliability without breaking the quiet engine that got you here. Think of your day as a modest workshop with 3 benches. One bench is for doing the work, production, the keystone in action. One bench is for getting better at the work, practice, deliberate, and focused. One bench is for supporting the work, admin, the small tasks that keep the lights on. Motivation can make any bench feel livelier, but discipline decides which bench you stand at and when. Give each bench its block on the clock, and never let one bench pretend to be another. When you're at the production bench, you count units shipped, words written, calls made, minutes moved. When you're at the practice bench, you count reps and feedback received. When you're at the admin bench, you race the timer to clear small tasks like leaves from a gutter. Keep the benches separate and your mind will stop trying to polish when you should be pushing or shuffle papers when you should be producing. Start tomorrow with an execution block, a clean 25 to 50 minute window where you perform the keystone exactly as promised. The timer starts. The phone sleeps elsewhere. The world may knock, but you do not answer. At the end of that block, perform a landing ritual that takes 2 minutes. Write one sentence that describes what moved forward, and one instruction to your morning self for the next block. Draft advanced from paragraph 3 to 5. Tomorrow begin by rewriting the first sentence of paragraph 5 before adding 2 sentences. Or calls completed to prospects AE. Tomorrow start with F and ask the budget question first. Parking on a downhill slope is a kindness to the person who must start the car cold. Then place a short practice block later in the day. A 15 to 20 minute window devoted to skill, not output. This is where you become more efficient without poisoning your morning with perfectionism. Practice has 3 parts. Pick a micro skill, perform slow reps, seek quick feedback. Micro skill for writing, tightening topic sentences. For calls, opening the conversation with a clear benefit. For movement, a slower, deeper squat with clean form. Slow reps mean you deliberately move under the speed of habit so your brain can lay new tracks. Feedback can be as simple as reading the line aloud and feeling for stumble, recording the first 30 seconds of a call and listening once, or filming one set of your squats to check alignment. End the practice block by writing a single cue you'll carry back to the production bench tomorrow. Begin with a verb. Ask for the next step by minute 2. Knees track over toes. Protect the execution bench with bright line rules. No email, no feeds, no quick checks until the first unit is complete. The words "just for a second" have stolen more mornings than any hurricane. Make it physical. A card on the desk that says, "Do not switch." If your work lives in a browser, use a separate profile that only opens the tabs you need for the keystone. You don't owe every app access to your best hour. Your attention is not community property. Add a midday rescue that is simpler than courage. Go find daylight. 8 to 10 minutes outside. No headphones, just your eyes and your lungs. Walk to the farthest window if you can't go out. Let your shoulders drop. This is not leisure. It is maintenance. The nervous system that must obey your discipline needs a little kindness to keep obeying without rebellion. When you come back, drink water, move a single paperclip, and begin the next unit. Don't overthink it. This is a broom for the dust your thoughts kick up. Your excuses are creative. Meet them with pre-written counters. On a single card, list the 5 most repeated reasons you don't begin on time, and give each a short answer you agree to obey. Too tired floor version now, timer for 10. Not enough time, start anyway and do half unit. Don't know what to do, open the notebook to the next step, written yesterday. Need to check one thing first, write it on a sticky note for the admin bench. Not in the mood, say the meaning sentence out loud and press start. You are not arguing with yourself anymore. You're following instructions from a wiser you who wrote them when the sky was clear. Plan your month like a farmer, not a sprinter. Use a simple 4-week rhythm. Base, build, peak, recover. In base week, you protect the habit above all, hitting your floor daily and one solid execution block on 5 days out of 7. In build week, you nudge volume up by 1 unit per day or extend your execution window by 5 minutes. In peak week, you keep the volume steady but aim to ship something visible, an article, a pitch, a milestone by Thursday, then keep Friday light and tidy. In recover week, you run at floor +1 and spend your practice block cleaning technique and tools. Mark these weeks on paper where you track your units. The rhythm prevents the cycle of boom and bust that happens when motivation talks you into glory one week and leaves you stranded the next. When life throws holidays, travel, or crisis into the mix, color code your weeks in advance. Green, amber, red. Green means full plan. Amber means floor plus a small bonus when possible. Red means floor only, keep the streak alive, celebrate survival. This honesty keeps you from promising a mountain during a week when you barely have a hill. Pride overestimates. Discipline accurately scouts the terrain. Add a small public stake without turning your life into a performance. Choose 1 day per month as a ship day. Announce it to a person you trust, and define in writing what shipped means. Not perfect, but published, sent, submitted, or completed. Your monthly ship day is the lighthouse that keeps your effort pointed toward contribution. You become the kind of person who puts things into the world on schedule. That identity is magnetic. It attracts cooperation and quiet confidence. Keep your sleep and recovery simple and sacred. Go to bed when you said you would, and if you miss it, write a short note in the morning that says why and what you'll change tonight. No self-scolding, just stewardship. Close your day with a 3-minute shutdown. Tidy the workspace, set out the first tools for morning, write tomorrow's first instruction, and whisper gratitude for the part of you that showed up today. This is not ceremony for ceremony's sake. It is you returning the workshop to order so the next shift can clock in without resentment. To guard against the seductive pull of adding too much, use the hotel test you prepared. Once your keystone survives a few days away from home, you may add one supporting habit that makes the keystone easier. Choose from a small menu: 10-minute evening prep, 5-minute morning stretch, a weekly review on Sunday, or a 10-minute admin sweep after lunch. Add only one. Give it 4 weeks to settle. Expansion should feel like the next obvious plank on a sturdy bridge, not a leap to another cliff. Hold the miss once rule like a friend's hand during a crossing. You are allowed to miss a day. You are not allowed to miss twice. If you do miss, perform the floor as early as possible the next day and add 5%, what I call floor plus 5, to reassert direction without bravado. The point is not to punish. The point is to close the gap quickly so doubt doesn't move in and redecorate. You can let motivation play its favorite role: celebration and style. Keep a small victory ledger and, once a week, write down 3 moments you were proud to start on time. Note what helped: the laid-out shoes that made you smile, the meaning sentence that felt truer than your hesitation, the paperclip clink that reminded you this matters. Let yourself enjoy the polish, good coffee, a playlist you reserve for shipping day, a walk with someone you love after a week of showing up. Motivation becomes a guest of honor when it's not asked to pull the cart. Finally, talk to yourself the way a seasoned coach talks to a steady athlete. When you think, "I have to," change it to, "I get to." When you think, "This is going to be hard," change it to, "I know how to begin." When you think, "I need to feel ready," change it to, "I'm ready enough to start." These aren't slogans meant to paint over struggle. They are accurate descriptions of a life that now has rails. You have a bench for doing, a bench for improving, and a bench for upkeep. You have a floor you won't fall below and a ceiling that protects tomorrow from today's enthusiasm. You have ship days that tether you to contribution and colored weeks that tell the truth about your season. You have a miss once rule and a meaning sentence, paper clips moving from left to right, a timer that sings, and a quiet pride that doesn't need applause to keep working. This is what it looks like when discipline leads and motivation arrives as a friend bearing gifts. Keep walking into the morning you built last night. Keep beginning within 60 seconds of your trigger. Keep your promises countable and your reasons close. The life you were waiting to feel ready for is not waiting anymore. It is being assembled in units you can count and in minutes you can point to. That's not magic. That's you being reliable on purpose. There's a point where your calendar starts showing more green than red. Your tracker fills with steady marks, and the quiet astonishment gives way to something even stranger: boredom. This is where most people, fueled by a rush of motivation, sabotage themselves with novelty. Don't. Boredom isn't a stop sign. It's a dashboard light that says, optimize. When the rails you've laid feel familiar, use 3 simple levers to keep the engine pulling. Raise the standard a hair, alter the constraint, or change the scenery without changing the time. Raise the standard by one notch only. 300 words become 300 words with one concrete example. 5 calls become 5 calls where you ask for the next step by minute 2. 20 minutes of movement becomes 20 minutes with the last 2 nose breathing only to smooth your pace. Alter the constraint by introducing a creative rule that narrows, not expands. Write without adjectives today. Open calls with a single sentence of benefit. Do your squats with a 3-count descent. Change the scenery by moving to a different table, a different room, a different park bench. Same trigger, same timer, different view. People append their systems searching for freshness, but freshness is a spice. Sprinkle it. Don't replace the meal. Plateaus will arrive even with these levers. Think of them as proof that you've harvested the low branches and now must climb a step to reach more fruit. The best way to climb is to separate skill from performance for a brief and deliberate window. Keep your production block intact. Ship, count, mark the tracker, then dedicate a small practice block to one tiny improvement that would make the next month's output easier. If you write, practice topic sentences. If you sell, practice stating price without apology. If you train, practice breathing through the nose to regulate effort. Record 1 rep, review it once, write 1 cue you'll carry tomorrow. That is how professionals glide past plateaus while everyone else seeks a new mountain. They don't move mountains. They sharpen the boots that climb them. Eventually, you'll hit not just stillness but storm. Illness, travel gone long, family needs, the kind of week that used to erase your progress. This is when your earlier honesty pays off. You already colored your week green, amber, or red. In red weeks, you do the floor only and you declare a win for keeping the chain unbroken. Add one more tool for those weeks, the 72-hour reset. If you miss 2 days in a row, the third day is non-negotiable floor before noon. This is not punishment. It's triage. You're stopping a small bleed before it becomes a crisis. To help yourself, pre-pack a reset kit in a pouch. A small timer, a pen, 1 index card with your meaning sentence and your 3-step start, and a folded copy of your contact list or bodyweight circuit. Put it where your bag lives. The signal is simple. When life jostles you hard enough that habits wobble, you reach for the kit and rebuild a tiny version of your normal in any room you find yourself in. You'll also face a gentler enemy that is no less dangerous. Success. The article lands, the quarter improves, the belt tightens. Pride will suggest that you've earned a few weeks of improvisation. Smile and take 1 day, just one, of deliberate rest. On that day, still do your floor, but leave the rest of the engine idle. Walk without performance, read for pleasure, put the phone on the other side of the room and look out a window you never notice. This is a Sabbath that protects momentum by preventing burnout. Then, the next day, return to your rails without negotiation. Success is not a signal to redesign. It's a reminder to reinforce. People don't fall because they climb. They fall because they throw a party on the ladder. Motivation will flare brighter during these seasons, and you can use its warmth without letting it scorch your plan. Keep your rule intact. Timer first, pleasure second. If there's music you love, play it only during the work. If there is coffee you savor, brew it only after the timer is running. This keeps delight yoked to discipline instead of in front of it. When the session ends, Close with a phrase that prevents the creeping sprawl of endless effort. Workday complete. Say it aloud. Turn off the lamp. Tidy the desk for 60 seconds. Leave a note for morning. You're not dragging your work into the rest of your life like a squeaky cart. You're docking a ship and setting the moorings. There's dignity in that ritual, and dignity has a way of calling you back on time. As your consistency becomes part of your sense of self, tie it to values larger than output alone. You're not merely the person who writes, calls, or trains. You're the person who tells the truth to the calendar, who keeps promises when no one is watching, who treats future you as someone worth planning for. Say these things quietly when you start. I keep promises. I begin within a minute. I finish the first unit before I judge. Self-talk is not fluff when it's tied to behavior you enact. It's a compass you can reach for in fog. To make it tactile, keep a small token, a coin, a ring, a smooth stone, in your pocket or by your timer. Touch it once when you begin. It becomes the physical handshake between intention and action. Because humans are social creatures, widen the circle without turning your life into a performance. Find one person who wants reliability, not drama, and trade weekly numbers. Completion rate, median start delay, one change for next week. Use sentences, not paragraphs. If they ask for a pep talk, offer one sentence that starts with begin by. Real accountability is not a jury. It's a mirror. And if you can't find a partner yet, be your own, as you've been. Write your numbers and send them to a dedicated email address you never read. Just send. The act of addressing a receiver, even a silent one, strengthens your follow-through more than you think. At some point, you'll notice you've been doing this long enough that other people ask you how. Teach them, not with speeches, but with your system. Tell them to pick one keystone, one trigger, a 2-minute start, a floor, a timer, a tracker, a weekly review, and a monthly ship day. Tell them about paper clips moving from cup to cup. Tell them about starting within 60 seconds, about the 3 levers for boredom, about the reset kit, about green, amber, red. Teaching is not a detour from your discipline. It's a reinforcer. When you show someone else how rails are built, you pour fresh cement under your own. There will be days when old ghosts visit. Doubt, comparison, the urge to yank up a seed to see if it has sprouted yet. On those days, return to the smallest controllable action and the first honest metric. Complete 1 unit. Move 1 paperclip. Mark 1 line on the page. Started 7:13, 1 unit. This is how you silence ghosts, by offering them work to watch. Comparison cannot stand long in the presence of movement. Doubt cannot argue with facts written in your own hand. You're closer than you think to the answer that sparked all this. Motivation or discipline, which do you really need? You already know in your bones. Motivation is a fine tailwind. Discipline is the road. The road is what gets you home in rain, in fog under stars, and in those long stretches where there's nothing on either side but the field you're crossing. Keep your rails cleared, your floor intact, your ceiling sensible, your ship days honest, your practice small and pointed, your rest deliberate, your rituals short and faithful. Let enjoyment season the work, but let systems carry it. Then, when the wind rises, and it will, you'll smile and let it push you a little faster down a path you were already walking. And here's the last secret most folks learn too late. Reliability isn't a cage. It's a key. Once you've lived inside rails long enough to see how gently they carry you, you stop envying the fireworks of other people's motivation and start enjoying the steady light of your own lamp. You don't rush to redesign the whole house when a bulb burns out. You replace the bulb and carry on. This is what the next stretch looks like. You wake, you touch the token by your timer, you begin within a minute of your cue, you finish your first unit before you judge, you mark a line on the page that proves you were here. You're not courting a feeling. You're courting a life. You'll still be ambushed by days that arrive sideways. Something breaks. Someone needs you. Your energy dips for reasons you can't name. On those days, you follow the shortest bridge back to yourself. The floor you promised, the first 2 minutes, the clink of one paperclip sliding cups. You do it before noon if you can, because momentum likes early victories. You make the smallest good choice visible. Then you tell the truth to your tracker with a calm hand. If your inner critic tries to hold a trial, you don't show up as the defendant. You show up as the clerk who records the fact. You kept the chain. Discipline is not a march to a drum. It's the habit of returning to the path without ceremony. There will be a week, expect it, when everything unravels at once. Travel tosses you, sleep thins, the routine shatters. You start again the third day with the reset kit you packed. Timer, pen, instruction card, tiny schedule written by a saner you. You stand in a borrowed room and whisper your line. I keep promises. I begin within a minute. And you press start. The floor gets done. You send done to your accountability partner, or you write it on a sticky note and stick it to the bathroom mirror, because sometimes the mirror is the only witness available. You do not rebuild Rome, you replant one flag. Tomorrow you plant a second. By the end of the week, the city stands where it stood before, not because you were ferocious, but because you were faithful. And there will be other weeks when you feel unusually strong, when motivation arrives so early it's waiting at the door in its coat. You welcome it, seat it politely behind your timer, and let it make the session livelier without stretching the boundaries that protect tomorrow. You cap the block at the ceiling you set. You park on a downhill slope with a short instruction to morning. You close with your small shutdown ritual that signals workday complete. You step into the rest of your life unburdened. People imagine discipline steals joy. It actually quarantines your effort so joy can breathe elsewhere. By now you've noticed that what once felt like effort has become identity. You think less about being motivated and more about being the kind of person who moves the first stone every day. Your sentences have fewer conditional verbs and more verbs that stand on their own feet. You say, I write before coffee, not I try to write. You say, I make 5 calls before lunch, not I'm planning to. You say, I walk 20 minutes after dinner, not I'll see how I feel. This is not bluster. It's accuracy. You are describing what happens in your life the way a farmer describes milking as the sun comes up. It doesn't need a speech. It needs a stool and a pail. If you're tempted to declare victory and drift, remember why you started asking this question in the first place. You didn't want a routine for its own sake. You wanted the freedom that comes from keeping promises to yourself. So you go on keeping them. You tend the benches of your day. Production first, where units ship. Practice later, where skills sharpen. Admin in its place, where the gutters get cleared so nothing floods. You run your 4-week rhythm that keeps boom and bust at bay. You color next week honestly, green for full, amber for limited, red for bare minimum. And you meet the week that actually arrives, not the one you wish would. When boredom taps at your window, you raise the standard a hair, alter a constraint, or change the scenery without touching the time. When plateau knocks, you keep shipping on schedule and visit the practice bench to tune one small gear. This is not a chase anymore. It's stewardship. The people around you can't help but notice. Some will mistake your steadiness for luck, or for a hidden well of motivation they were never given. If they ask for your secret, you hand them something better than a pep talk. You tell them what you've done in plain language. One keystone anchored to a daily trigger, a 2-minute start, a floor for hard days, a ceiling for good days, a timer that starts before the music, a tracker in plain sight, a weekly review of 2 numbers and 1 change, a monthly ship day that makes your effort useful to somebody else. If they want to begin, you tell them to build the rails at night and start within 60 seconds in the morning. If they want motivation, you tell them where it lives, on the far side of action. If they want proof, you show them the rows of small marks that say, "This wasn't a mood, it was a system." Teaching will not distract you. It will deepen the grooves you walk each day. If you ever lose the thread and wonder why any of this matters, pull out the meaning sentence you wrote and the 3 whys you kept behind it. Read them aloud. They are not poetry. They are direction. I write so my clients understand me. Clarity builds trust. Trust lets me serve for decades. I call so my family's margin grows. Margin brings calm. Calm makes our home kinder. I move so I can play on the floor when I'm 60. Play keeps me young. Being present is the promise I made. Meaning turns discipline from cold iron into warm rails. It reminds you that your daily unit reaches farther than the calendar square it lives in. You aren't simply crossing boxes. You are laying bricks into a road your future will be thankful to walk. What about ambition, the big goals that glow on the horizon? Keep them, but treat them like stars for navigation, not like spotlights to live under. You break them down into projects, you make your monthly ship days the stepping stones, and you let the daily keystone remain small enough to start on your worst mornings. You do not let the size of the dream bully the size of the action. Dreams get built by hands that have learned to pick up the same tools at the same time with more kindness than drama. If you're still carrying a quiet doubt that whispers you're not the disciplined type, answer it with evidence, not argument. Evidence is your calendar marks, your median start delay falling under a minute, your completion rate steady above the line you set, the way your breathing smooths when you lace your shoes, the way your voice steadies in the second call, the way your fingers find the next sentence when your brain still feels foggy. Evidence is the cup that empties of paper clips and the other that fills. Evidence is the report you send on Sunday night. 7 days, 5 production blocks, 3 practice notes, 1 ship. It's hard for doubt to shout over the sound of truth being counted. And when you ask one last time, motivation versus discipline, which do I really need? You will smile at how the question has softened. You need both, but in their proper order. Discipline leads because clocks are steadier than moods. Motivation follows because progress is attractive. Discipline builds the porch. Motivation turns on the light. Discipline sets the table. Motivation brings the flowers. You don't wait for flowers to eat dinner. You sit down, you give thanks, you pass the bread, and the room becomes warm enough for blossoms. Keep the order straight, and you will not wander far from the life you intended to build. So tonight, do what works. Clear the little table. Put the tool in place. Fill the water glass. Write the stub of the first line or the first name to dial. Lay the token where your hand will find it. Set the timer where it can see you. Whisper your meaning sentence and your simple script. Close the day with that 3-minute shutdown and let sleep do its kindness. In the morning, when the trigger fires, do not poll the weather of your feelings. Put both feet on the floor. Touch the token once. Press start. Do the first 90 seconds like it's the only job you have. Let the second minute carry the third. Move a paperclip. Mark the page. Send the word done. Then return the workshop to order so that the next shift, your future self, arrives to a place that's ready. You don't need a lightning bolt. You have a switch you can flip in the dark. You have rails that don't debate, a floor that holds, a ceiling that protects, a rhythm that steadies, a meaning that warms, a record that tells the truth. You have a way back when you drift and a way forward when you surge. Turn the switch. Walk the rails. Let your days add up to something you can point to with a quiet smile. Not because you were always inspired, but because you chose to begin when the clock said begin. The echo of that choice is the only motivation you will ever need, and it will meet you on time, exactly where your discipline expects it.